So these are our players for this week's video. And I want to go ahead and introduce them just in case you don't know them. I know you can see their names. You already know Laura and you already know Eliza because they've already been in a couple of videos. But today we also have with us our principal bassoonist, Jonathan Castillo. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi.
And we have our principal clarinet, Vanguel Tangarov.
Hello, everybody.
And we have our timpanist and drummer par extraordinaire, Sherry Rubins.
Hello.
Good morning. And good morning, Eliza and Laura. So this video celebrates two composers, two musicians, but really a composer and a legendary ensemble. So we've got Darius Milhaud on the one hand, who was a French composer. He was a member of Les Six. Have you guys had a whole lot of experience playing any of his music? Have you ever played any of it at all, publicly?
I have. He actually wrote a very interesting percussion concerto. It's a multiple percussion piece with mostly drums, like tom-toms and kick drum and things. And it's not played very often, but it's very interesting. Actually, I may have done it with Mid-Texas many, many years ago, like early on when I was with the orchestra. Yeah, but it's a very nice piece.
And probably his most famous, most often performed piece is The Creation of the World.
And that too, right?
Yeah. Have any of you guys ever done that piece? I've heard it a bunch, but I've never. You've done it?
Yeah, I've played that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's another orchestral piece that probably you've done as well. It's Le Buff sur le Toit.
Right.
It's very vivid. It's very often performed in the Latin world, and I did it many times while I was in Mexico. But also he wrote a wonderful sonatina for clarinet and piano and trio for violin, clarinet, and piano.
Yes.
Which, if you haven't done it, we may do it in the future.
I want to do that with you.
Yeah.
I was just listening to it in the car this morning.
Yeah, it's a wonderful piece. It's very, impressionistic, but very vivid. Very.
Yeah.
He brings that positive vibe always in his music, which I like.
Yeah, that is a distinguishing characteristic in a lot of his music, is that it's very upbeat, it's very fresh, it feels a little outdoorsy sometimes, and just very happy. Yeah, he was really prolific. He composed over 400 pieces of music, and so he was also a violinist, and so there's a fair amount of output in chamber music, string quartets and violin sonatas, and then there's this piece that Laura and I are going to play today. I've got it right here. It's on my music stand because I've been practicing. Yes, the duo for two violins. That's what it says in French there. How do you feel about this piece, Laura?
Oh, I think it's super fun.
Yeah.
It's unexpected. Like you're going along and it kind of sounds one way, and then like all of a sudden it'll change at the drop of a hat, like some weird harmony or some weird note, and you kind of double checking, like, is this right? And it is. And I've really been enjoying practicing it, and it's going to be super fun to play it with you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it. I'm gonna make my first contribution to the project today, because Laura's beat me to it. She's already got one in the can, as they say in the biz. So it's 3 movements, and one of the reasons that I picked it for this program is that he, at the time that he wrote it, he was living in Los Angeles, and he composed it and completed it in Los Angeles. I believe he might have been living in San Francisco, though. He was teaching at Mills College, and that's where he met Dave Brubeck as a student after the war. He was Brubeck's theory and composition teacher. But interesting, he had a lot of very famous students. I was looking at the list of people that studied with him. Philip Glass, Steve Reich, of course, Dave Brubeck, and then the real surprise on the list was Bert Bacharach. So, yeah, those in our audience of a certain age that are like my age are going to know all of his songs. Dionne Warwick, and I was like, Bert Bacharach? And he told, there was a quote from him to Bert Bacharach. He told him, never be ashamed of writing a tune that people will remember and whistle. Don't ever run away from anything like that.
Well, that
And
worked.
Bert Bacharach really took him to heart. So, yeah. So, okay, so Laura and I are going to go ahead and we're going to perform this little piece, and then after that we'll come back and we're going to talk to the group that's going to play the piece right after that, all right? So please enjoy the duo for two violins by Darius Milhaud, finished in August, so it's a very summery sounding piece in that happy Milhaud vein in Los Angeles, 1944, I believe. All right, please enjoy. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed the duo by Darius Milhaud. And so now we're going to play something by one of his students, Dave Brubeck. Actually, this piece is not composed by Dave Brubeck. It's composed by the saxophonist from the Dave Brubeck Quartet, Paul Desmond. But it's so closely associated with Dave Brubeck as I was telling my colleagues, it's one of the only 2 jazz arrangements that I own. So it came in really handy here. It's Take 5, which is the iconic tune that they're most known for, and I believe Brubeck actually gave it its name. How do you guys feel about playing this arrangement? Originally, it was for string quartet and no drums. So how do you feel about doing this?
I don't know how that would work without drums, but that's just me.
Well, it sounds like music without drums. It's like being in an elevator.
Well,
that's fun.
That's very interesting. I remember when you called and made that suggestion, I was like, yes. I remember hearing this piece when I was a beginner starting to learn the clarinet. I found on the TV a live concert of Dave Brubeck and his group in Moscow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
wow.
he had this incredible clarinet player in the group invited. So I was blown away of the way they play. And, when they played this piece, I knew this was the piece that they used the irregular rhythms, probably one of the first jazz pieces they used, irregular rhythms. And, the root of that tradition comes from the eastern part of Europe. So it's a very well-known piece as we know it. And now that you call me, okay, can we do Take 5? And I was like, yes, I'll do it on the clarinet. So I think it was a great idea, and hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to hearing, how you put your own personal mark on it. Vanguel and I have played
Nothing special. I'll try
together.
to stay as close as possible to the original. You can beat that.
Yeah. And it is such a great piece. It's the all-time, I learned the all-time still best-selling jazz recording ever.
Wow, really?
Ever. Like even more than like
Interesting.
John Coltrane's Love Supreme or,
Yeah.
or anything Duke Ellington. Yeah, it's just so popular, and you hear it everywhere, So Vanguel, you're essentially going to be filling the role of Paul Desmond, the composer and alto saxophonist, and Sherry is going to be our Joe Morello. So you're going to be like drummer in a box. How's that going? Are you having a good time being Joe Morello at home?
Well, those are really big shoes to fill. So yeah, like all the big names would say, I don't think I can do that. But and as probably most good drummers would also tell you, you don't want to try to be Joe Morello. You have to put your own touch on it.
Right.
And that might be just a good excuse because you can't be Joe Morello, but it's so fun to go back and listen to him again, I'm having a great time.
Excellent.
Working on it. So yeah.
Fantastic. So Jonathan, you're our Eugene Wright. You're filling in the bass part. Can you make your bassoon sound like a bass?
I will do my absolute very best. My first experience with this piece was, I think I was a freshman in high school. I was in the high school jazz band, and we were not good. And so you're imagining, I think there were 17 of us, a full sax section, a bunch of trumpets and trombones, and a pianist and a drummer, and I think 2 drummers, and just going to town with this piece. So it was the least delicate Take 5 that you had ever heard in your entire life. So I'm really looking forward to putting a more artistic touch on it this time around.
Excellent. Well, I think, any great piece of music can withstand any kind of twisting and torturing that musicians can do to it. As far as changing the instrumentation, it can still be that piece. And especially with jazz is so malleable in that way. It can be played in any combination of instruments. Eliza, I don't know for sure who you and I are, except that maybe, let's see, you're probably the index finger and thumb of Dave Brubeck's left hand, and I'm the thumb and index finger of his right hand, because we're playing the inner parts of the original string version, or string arrangement of this. So are you prepared to swing, Eliza, like you've never swung before?
I will do my best. And that's one of my favorite things about playing different styles is really the rhythmic challenges. There are rhythmic rhythms that we're not familiar with. And so it's something new and interesting to try and get under my fingers. It's fun.
Good.
To swing in 5.
It's swing in 5, and it can be done. Okay, so I think now let's go off and swing our parts into the acapella app and perform Take 5 for our friends at home who are anxiously awaiting some cool jazz. All right, thanks guys for doing this with me, and more collaborations in the future, and then hopefully soon live on stage together. All right? All right, thanks guys.
Yeah.
Well, we opened our program with a piece to usher in summer, written in August in Los Angeles, 1944. We just had a little bit of hot jazz to go with this very hot early summer weather. And now it's time for the last piece on the program. We return to Darius Milhaud, and we're going to say goodbye to spring with a beautiful piece that he wrote early on in his career. It is called the Printemps, the spring. And in this piece, he was simply trying to describe the opening of flowers and the beginning of spring and all the beauty that it brings. So here we are at the beginning of summer, saying goodbye to spring with Darius Milhaud. Hope you enjoy it. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this week's program of Darius Milhaud and Dave Brubeck music. We had a lot of fun making it for you and playing it. I want to thank my collaborators, my good friends and colleagues from the Mid-Texas Symphony, Vanguel, Jonathan, Sherry, and of course Laura and Eliza. And also I'd like to thank my pianist, Hawley Griffin. And this is Padma. This is the member of the family you haven't met yet. She's kind of camera shy. So, hey Padma, I have a question for you. Who's your favorite composer? Do you want to whisper it in my ear? Meow! Awesome! I'm really surprised. I thought sure she was going to say Khachaturian. Okay, so we will be back mid-July with a program of French Baroque music, and then at the end of July we will be back again with a program of music inspired by the great J.S. Bach. So something to look forward to. We're looking forward to doing that. And until then, please remember to support and subscribe to the Mid-Texas Symphony so we can get back on stage and Padma can get rid of us and have a little quiet time. And please, of course, as always, be safe, be smart, stay well, be healthy, and we'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.